And with this, we welcome you to the SFL Draft. I'm Cameron Irvine, SFL Commissioner, and tonight, right before the draft, we unveil the new look of the Las Vegas Fury in all its glory. Thanks to Matt Doyle Designs for another fantastic job, and we're looking forward to getting the draft going tonight. We'll have another unveil midway through the draft, but for now, let's get to it. All offseason and through part of the regular season, SFL newcomers have waited for this very moment. We've seen them on the field in a dramatic overtime rookie showcase. We've seen Alaska become the two-time champions, and 20 teams sit on the sideline wondering if this year would be their year. Well, tonight, the offseason takes a turn as we head to Season 12. Welcome to the SFL Draft. Good evening, everyone. I am Cameron Irvine, alongside a host of analysts and hosts. Our draft host tonight, Mike Daggs. How you doing, Mike?
I am doing fantastic. How about you, Cam?
I'm great. Marcus Dunhill, quarterback of Atlanta. How are you, Marcus?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Andy Hamilton, owner of Vancouver. How are you, Andy? Suiting and tying.
Good evening. Couldn't be more excited.
Michael Torillo, also suiting and tying. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here and to follow the draft with these fine folks tonight.
And Shan Varner, owner of the Chicago Wildcats, also suiting and tying. Y'all are killing me tonight. How you doing, Shan?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Mike, are you suiting and tying too? I can't tell.
Gosh, no. This is a polo shirt. I'm just like you, buddy. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. I had to rock the polo for sure. All right, folks. This is how the draft works. 5 minutes. You see the big board at the bottom of the screen. 1 through 21. The picks will show up there. When the pick is in, you will see it appear at the top of the screen. And for now, you will see who is on the clock. That's the first pick, and that is St. Louis. When the clock starts, the draft starts. Welcome, everybody. Let's have a great night. Take it away, Dags.
All right, thanks, Cam. So let's get this draft started. Guaranteed to be better than the Season 11 draft. Why, you might all wonder? Because we only have one round tonight instead of 2 rounds, which means that your draft analysis crew will still be alive for pretty much the entire broadcast, which is good because last draft, well, all of the people that were with me apparently died off because I have a whole new team of analysts here with me tonight. And Andy, we'll start off with you. I know you're going to be talking about the picks mainly once they get made, but what are you looking forward to most here in tonight's draft?
I think each year we see a lot of new faces come into the league. We see a lot of guys get ready for a draft like this, and everyone is all prepared and ready to go for, them entering the league. And I think the most exciting part for me about a draft like this is, getting new guys into a team and a locker room that they, deserve to be in, and putting them in a position to actually perform, to the best of their abilities. I think that's what excites me the most.
All right, sounds good. And, you do look fantastic in your suit. I feel a little underdressed now, but it was nice to see that the commissioner was also wearing a polo shirt. So, bullet dodged there. So that worked out well for me. So Shan Varner, owner of the Chicago Wildcats, you're going to be talking about some of the stats I hear from the rookie showcase.
Yes, I am. I want to give these guys a shout out. When they get picked in the draft, it's a huge deal. Going off the rookie performances they had last night from Brooklyn and also from Virginia Beach, we just want to make sure that these guys get recognized.
Fantastic. And Michael Torillo, fellow broadcaster. You're going to be talking about team needs, so why don't you just take it away? We got St. Louis Gladiators on the clock right now. What are their team needs? Obviously, it's up on the screen, but can you give us a little rundown of what you're thinking?
Well, the most important thing tonight for the St. Louis Gladiators is obviously a new quarterback. Their quarterback left during the offseason for greener pastures, and there are a lot of players in this draft who have declared for quarterback, but the biggest name among them has got to be Moody Mitchell. Great performance earlier this week in the rookie showcase, and I think there's not a question that he is, without doubt, the premier player that St. Louis is going to look for in this pick.
And Marcus Dunhill, quarterback for the Atlanta Swarm, you are with us tonight too.
Yes,
and
sir.
you're going to be talking about some of the best fits for the team. So what are you thinking the best fits here are for the Gladiators?
Well, the Gladiators have a couple options. The first option is obviously Moody Mitchell, who people have mostly been thinking is the consensus for a #1 pick. The only other big name in the quarterback run is TD Drew, who is actually unable to sign with that team. So unless they pull a rabbit out of a hat and pick somebody we don't quite seeing, who didn't necessarily go for quarterback. I know Hayapo Kinloa and some other people have talked about potentially being quarterback. Unless they're going to pick one of those people that we didn't quite expect, I would probably think Moody Mitchell is obviously the very best fit for St. Louis.
And I see, in the chat, we have quite a few people with us tonight. Looks like 124 right now. So that's fantastic turnout for the draft so far. See if that number goes up throughout the night. Muhammad Ajalani, Amplified Ignorance, Alex D, 4210, Denver Nightwings, The Dead Knight, 57. So many others. Appreciate everybody being here. And I do see that you noticed our video is frozen. Hopefully we are unfrozen now and you can see us all moving, because you don't want to just stare at pictures. That'd be kind of wacky. So definitely don't want that. So
if I can go in on this right here, Moody Mitchell, he was 15 of 20 last game for 267 yards, 1 touchdown, and unfortunately he had 2 interceptions. So going off of what Trullo said, he might be a high pick for the St. Louis offense.
And with that, the pick is in, so we will turn it back over to Commissioner Cameron Irvine, rocking the polo shirt tonight, Team Polo, and see who the Gladiators have selected.
And by the way, everybody, that video is going to freeze as we're getting the picks cycled through our system, so your videos will freeze for a moment from our analysts, so we apologize about that, but then once that is completed, then we'll get that back up. With the first pick in the Season 12 SFL Rookie Draft, the St. Louis Gladiators select quarterback Moody Mitchell.
All right, Moody Mitchell is the selection. Seemed to be the general consensus going through. Andy, let us know about Moody, and did you think, could it have even been anybody else? It seemed like he was the only name really being mentioned by anyone.
Right. Well, St. Louis, they needed a quarterback. They needed a guy to lead this franchise. I talked to Colin Douglas a little bit last night about, where the Gladiators are heading this season, and Colin he actually pointed out Carolina and kind of what they did last season. He wants to lead the Gladiators back to glory, and the best way to do that is with a great starting quarterback. Mitchell, all of his bits has the top 10 chat ranking. You really wanted a guy here who's going to do a great job for you, and with the amount of time that Mitchell's been in this league, I don't doubt that he could be that guy for St. Louis.
And Shan, you started talking a little bit about some of his stats. Can you get a little bit more into detail about how he performed during the rookie showcase?
Well, he was a little rusty to start off with. He didn't really get going to later, maybe the third quarter. But the efficiency from the first 2 quarters was very spot on. But just kind of fell off in that third and fourth quarter. So giving up the 2 picks in that second half, just a little bit inconsistency there. But the first half he played really great.
And the Dallas Lobos are now on the clock, just under 4 minutes to go for their selection. So congratulations to Moody Mitchell, but it is time to move on to what Dallas might be doing. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Michael Truello, talk about the team needs that we are looking at for Dallas.
Well, thanks, Dags. Dallas doesn't have a contracted running back, and that's probably the main thing they're going to look for if they go on the offensive side. A name to watch out for would be Reggie Streeter. Performed well in the draft, has a top 15 chat ranking, and he's got that max silver contract value. You can't get much better if you're going for a running back, but they could also be looking on the defensive side. They also need a linebacker and a corner, and if you're looking for a linebacker, I think Everett Garrison is going to be the top pick that you're going to go for. And he's got a max silver minus 1.5 at linebacker due to his performance in the showcase earlier this week. And I'll let Shan handle all the stats for that. But it looks like it's going to be linebacker or running back.
All right, that's fantastic. And, people in the chat, Michael, they're noticing your handheld microphone, and they're absolutely loving it. What would be great is if you could actually get up and walk around, and we could have a cameraman follow you, and but maybe that's for future drafts. Not quite today.
I think that's a little bit out of our budget for this one.
One step at a time.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Someday we'll all be in New York City for this thing together, right? So Marcus, who do you think are the best fits for Dallas? I mean, they have a lot of team needs listed there. Christian Christensen seems to think it's going to be a kicker. I'm pretty sure he's dead wrong, which is why you're here to talk about the best fits and not him. So,
sure. Who
are you looking at?
So I'll go ahead and talk about the three positions that Trillo had just mentioned, linebacker, corner, and running back. I think if they're going to go linebacker, I'm going to go with somebody a little different than he chose. I think their best pick for a linebacker would be Zach Sandlin. He amassed quite a few tackles, just under the max tackles by one for that rookie showcase. So I think he would be a really good pick. If they decided to go corner, you're maybe looking at somebody like Thomas Raymond Jr., who had interception as well as the game-winning safety in the rookie showcase. Or you could potentially do somebody like Stephen Hacker as a cornerback. And if you're going to go running back, you have two options. Like he said, Streeter is a max value, or Randy Mercury as well, who was the other running back in the showcase.
And just about a minute and 15 to go with their selection. Obviously, Stephen Mullinex taking as much time as he needs to make sure that he's getting the right player. I mean, Andy is an owner. How important is it, for this draft to really peg one of these positions? Obviously, the teams near the top didn't finish with quite the record that they wanted, and they're looking to turn things around. How important is it to get the right player today?
Yeah, it's not only about the right player, but it's also about the right fit for your team. You have to identify a player who's going to do the best for your position, not only whatever you need, what you're looking for, but also for your locker room. I think a lot of times we look at this as, I need a guy who's going to fill this position, but if it's not a good locker room fit, drafting a guy like that can really be contagious to your team. So for a lot of these teams, you have to really go through a lot of homework on these players and make sure whoever you're picking is going to be a strong beneficiary for your team. Also, you have to think about, it's only a one-year lease, Mike, so for these guys who are getting drafted, you have to find a guy who's committed to the vision, who's going to be committed to sticking with your team, throughout seasons that might not be great. You have to find those guys who are going to be on your team for a long time. And I think, whether it's free agency or this draft, that's what all these owners are looking for.
So time has expired. We don't quite see if the pick is in yet, but let's see.
Stephen Mullinex leaving this one a little bit late.
Yeah. Well, he might
Dags,
be,
if I
don't
can,
know, still eating dinner or something.
Here.
Well, hang on just 1 second, Shan, because it looks like the pick is in at the 11th hour. Nothing like coming in at the last possible second. Commissioner is on his way back to announce this next selection for the Dallas Lobos.
With the second pick in the SFL Season 12 rookie draft, the Dallas Lobos have selected Zach Sandlin, running back.
Oh,
All right. So Zach Sandlin has been selected as a running back. So let's talk about that one. Andy, give us your rundown of this pick.
yeah, not a bad pick in any way, shape, or form. Zach Sandlin, number 3 on the big board coming out of last week, and he's a very active guy. They had him listed as linebacker, defensive tackle, and I was going to say, if they were taking him as a linebacker, it was a great pick. This guy's a good locker room presence, very active, number 18 in the chat. The only, thing that surprises me is that they're going to have him play running back. He jumped Reggie Streeter, who was listed as a running back on the big board. So a little bit of surprise there, but not in a bad way in any shape or form. It's a good pick for Dallas.
Well, and that's always the exciting thing about draft day is, you get your big board down and you think you know how things are going to, shake out. And then all of a sudden there's a surprise thrown at you. And, that could be why it took the full 5 minutes, too. Maybe they were, really kind of going back and forth on which one they wanted, and finally ended up deciding on Zach. So Oklahoma City is now on the clock. Shan, can you give us some of Zach's stats from the showcase?
Well, from the showcase, he was registered as a inside linebacker. He had quite a few tackles. He had 6 total. And didn't really do much of anything else. I think he had one. Yes, he had one. But this is a surprise, I guess, for everybody, for him coming in as a running back.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe after the showcase, with only a handful of tackles at linebacker, they thought, what, let's make a switch. Let's see how we can fit in as a running back instead, and see if he can get things going on the ground for the Lobos offense. They're very pass-heavy last season, so obviously by drafting with the second pick, a running back, looking to switch gears a little bit, I think. So Oklahoma City, a little under 4 minutes to go. Michael, there are a plethora of team needs listed here. So which of these is the most important? Where's the Renegades going tonight?
Well, I think with the first pick, they may want to get another weapon on offense with a wide receiver. Garen Malone III is up there. He had a great performance in the showcase up there at wide receiver. They could also look on the defensive end. They are one of 8 teams tonight that have one or no corners currently on their roster. So cornerback is going to be a contested pick throughout this entire draft. And I still say that Thomas Rodman Jr. is a good fit for cornerback for any team.
And if I can chime in a little bit here, I think I agree with Torillo a little bit. I think receiver might be a way that Michael Irvine looks to go, help out Deacon Nickens in the offense that they have going there, Doyle in the backfield. But I disagree. I don't think Malone is even in play here. When you look at the way that the max contracts have worked out, there's enough guys sitting here that have max value. Randy Mercury is one. And the guy that I think really might end up being the steal of this draft is still on the board with wide receiver value, full value that is Rich Pratchard. I think, he's not necessarily the biggest chatter in the game, but I tell you who else isn't, Mike Daggs. Michael Irvine isn't necessarily the most loud owner in the Discord channel, so I think going with a silent receiver who's kind of a deadly weapon, he's kind of like a fart. He's silent but deadly there, Mike, and I think Rich Pratchard might be the way to go if you're Oklahoma City.
Really? That's the analogy that we're bringing to the table tonight, Andy?
Yeah. Well, it might be smelly, but it's true.
Well, we're not even 3 picks in, and the wheels have already started to fall off the wagon. So that's not good news. Hey, at least this isn't 2 rounds. Otherwise, this would end up getting insanely loopy. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, we talk about the chat value, and it is a good way to determine how active a player is going to be. But you mentioned somebody like Rich Pratchard, who's involved in the league in other ways. Came into the broadcast team last season about midway through, and obviously the broadcast team is near and dear to my heart, and anybody that's involved with that group is going to be well involved on their team as well. So definitely a safe pick, and that would be an interesting selection. Marcus, who are you thinking, what are you looking at when you see who's left on the board? Who's a good fit in your opinion?
So there's a lot of options that Oklahoma City has. I do kind of like the idea of Garen Malone going to Oklahoma City, either on wide receiver or on the defense. I think the opportunity to get a former team DGM is really hard to pass up. I know they have one, but just getting that, person that they know they can rely on would be huge. Otherwise, for wide receiver, they could absolutely go with Rich Pratchett, who had that max contract. Another wide receiver who really stepped up during the rookie showcase was Ashley Jackson, who going into the showcase was silver -4, but ended up getting 3 points back in value at wide receiver from a great game and being the MVP. So she's an option at -1. If they decide to go cornerback or safety, I think they could also go with Thomas Rahman Jr. So any of those picks would be good picks for Oklahoma.
Well, we are about to find out who the pick is. Sorry, Michael, but the pick is in. So we are going to turn it back over to Cameron Irvine so we can find out who we're talking about next.
With the third pick in the SFL Season 12 rookie draft, the Oklahoma City Renegades have selected Rich Pratchard, wide receiver.
Boo!
See, and that's unfortunate because all it does is inflate Andy's ego. So, but hey, we can't have everything work out in everybody else's favor tonight. But Andy, since you called it, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Rich Pratchard?
Yeah, what's there not to say about this guy? Pratchard has been. It might have been one of the first rookies to declare for this draft and be ready. And, for him, this is an incredible moment. I'm excited for him. I think, heading into the draft, I had identified him as one of the top selections. He's 6th on the big board. And like I said, I think his chat value doesn't help him in that regard. But in terms of value, he's a max silver value. So for Oklahoma City, they're getting their money's worth. As well as you have to look at the fact that he, is committed. He's got an SFL-related job on the broadcast team. He's not going to be gone for a while. This guy is here, and Oklahoma City has really picked up a gem.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. I remember, once he started broadcasting and, people, you could see him in the chat. Who's this guy? Where did he come from? And I remember when he first reached out to me and, sent me his audio clip of him doing some, in-person broadcasting for a local team. It was, it was like, wait, you want to come join the team? Sure, sign up, buddy. You're welcome in. And it's been fantastic ever since. And I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic on the team and part of the locker room too. So, Shan, can you go over some of the stats that he had in the showcase?
Sure, he was 7 of 8 for 1 touchdown and 21 yards. So look for this guy here to be deadly down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, getting a score is always a bonus. You want to get those points on the board, so can't go wrong there. But so already under 4 minutes. This one of the fun parts about the SFL draft is we don't have to wait 15 minutes per pick or however long that other pesky league puts up for the first round. Just 5 minutes here. So with 3.5 to go, the Denver Nightwings are on the clock. So without further ado, we will look at their team needs. They have a whole bunch listed as well, Michael. So why don't you break it down for us and let us know where you think they might go.
I think they're most likely to go on the defensive side of the ball with a defensive lineman, and I think the most likely to go that way is, I had it up and then it disappeared. We're doing it live. Denzel Maverick, one of the 2 Canadians in this draft, had a great game in the showcase and top 20 chat ranking, only a silver -1 in the ranking. And if they're going to look at the defensive line, I think that's where they're going to look. The other thing, wide receiver. Once again, we mentioned wide receiver in the last one. There's so many good ones on the board tonight. Ashley Jackson, a great one that I've seen mentioned in the chat a couple of times, and also Garen Malone. So you can't really go wrong with either of those picks.
And defensive line, certainly is something that can help a team make a big difference out on the field. You look at a team like Tallahassee with their defensive line, or hey, even Alaska, the one-man wrecking ball that is Big Sexy. I mean, it's one defensive lineman can change the whole game. I think he sacked my quarterback Matt Wilson. What was it? About 46 times in week 1. give or take. It felt like 46. So, Marcus, who is the best available that might be a good fit for the Nightwings?
For Denver, if they're going to go for defensive line, I got 2 names for them to consider. Denzel Maverick, like Trillo said, but another name, another guy who's been rather quiet, who's also a max contract, is what do you get? Logan Jack, who is
Logan Jack, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the other potential needs for Denver would be tight end, and if they wanted to go to the offense, they have a number of options. I know that Hayapo Kinloa was talking about playing tight end. Reggie Streeter at one point was interested in playing tight end, so they got a couple options there, as well as I know Ashley Jackson, who has got extra points for wide receiver, was also potentially interested in tight end as well.
Quick before Cam jumps in, Jamal Wooding, I think, is a secret. That's my vote.
All right. Well, we had to make sure we got that in because, he has to be right over and over and over again. So Jeremy Vega not wasting any time. He did not need even the full 4 minutes. With that, the pick is in. Turn it back over to Cameron Irvine to make the next selection.
How are we doing on viewership tonight, Dags? What are we looking at?
We have 140 with us right now.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, with the 4th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the Denver Nightwings select Hayapo Kinloa, tight end.
All right, so Hayapo Kinloa. I love how these names are super pronounceable, every last one of them. Hayapo, oh boy, we're going to need to make sure we get the phonetic spelling on that one. Andy, take it away.
Kinloa.
What do you think
Get it? Come on, Dags.
Hayapo Kinloa, yeah, been here for a while. Definitely a player that deserved the spot. Max Silver -1, so, I guess this is one of those conversations we'll have in the future, whether this was a reach pick or not for Denver. But like we were talking about, Dags, it comes down to personality. Kinloa has been very active on the Discord, has been doing a very good job of presenting themselves in a very positive light. And so I like this pick for Denver. I think they and Jeremy does a very good job of going outside of, hey, maybe you missed one check-in, that's fine. We're going to get our guy. We're going to get the person to bring in who we think will make the biggest impact, and good on him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, and let me ask Shan Varner, but in my opinion, there should be no other selection than tight end. I mean, is that not the best position in the league or what?
Well, I mean, you and I both.
Come on.
You and I both have personal games on that one, but going to the stat sheet here, he didn't really do a whole lot during the game. Only 1 catch, 1 target. So the emphasis on his position in that particular game wasn't very high, but Jeremy's a great coach, and I'm sure he can work him into his offense.
Yeah, and let's make sure that we're clear, because somebody else in the chat had said I offended them by saying there was only a handful of tackles made by who was it? Zach Sandlin back in the showcase. I mean, the showcase was one game. It was right. One game. Not everybody's going to be able to put up 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. Really nobody is ever, but you get the idea. So, I mean, these stats from the showcase is just kind of a glimpse at what you might be seeing from these players. But, I mean, these coaches, like you said, just, I mean, Jeremy Vega is going to be able to put in a game plan for Hayapo Kinloa. Did I get it right that time? Kinloa. So they're going to be able to put in a nice game plan for him to be able to utilize, his talents.
Right. You're absolutely correct. And, that's one thing that wasn't involved in that game was a coaching from these players that's coming onto these new teams. It's going to be a whole new setup, a whole new everything. So just sit back and listen to your coach, progress, and do the best you can during the season.
Yeah, during the season is key, because it seems like, for those who may not know, I'm a tight end on the Mexico City Aztecs, and it seems like I really only come to life in the playoffs, which could be good, but I could probably, maybe help the team out during the season too. So hopefully Hayapo Kinloa can help out Denver in that regard. So just under 4 minutes to go here. with the London Knights on the clock. Michael Truwillo, we'll turn it back over to you. We don't have the team needs even up on the screen for this one, so if you could let us know what we're looking at for London.
Yeah, the main thing that London is going to be looking at here is a running back, and since Zach Sadlin is off the board, surprisingly, is the first running back taken, that leaves, a couple of big names, Randy Mercury, Logan Jack, Reggie Streeter. Any of those guys would be great fits for a London offense that has struggled to score points at times in the regular season, and I think that they could benefit from, getting a power run game going to sort of spread the offense around a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus, we see that Reggie Streeter is still on the board. If you look at the final big board, he was number 2, and here we are at pick number 5. Not too far down in the draft, but potentially slipping a little farther than he thought he might go. I mean, he might have looked at that and thought he had a shot at being 1 or 2 overall. Is that your best fit for this team, or is there somebody else that you have in mind?
I think he is. I think he's a phenomenal value to get at 5. I know that he's definitely an option at running back. I know Randy Mercury can't be drafted by London for playing for them previously. However, they have other options if they decide to do so. Potentially Justin Jones at running back, if they want to do running back. But I think Reggie Streeter is the best fit there, unless they want to go for another position.
So 2 minutes to go. Michael, did you have something else?
Yeah, and I want to jump in here because running back is not the be-all, end-all for the London Knights in this pick. They also could take maybe a tight end, maybe a defensive lineman as well to really boost that defensive line that already has a strong defensive tackle in there. So those are other possibilities as well.
All right. And Andy, I'm sure you want to make one final guess because it seems to be the thing that you're doing now. So we'll just go with it.
I mean, who was Babe Ruth if he wouldn't have pointed the bat at the outfield every once in a while?
The pick is in, so make it quick.
I'm going with Reggie Streeter. I think it's got to be him. 13th ranked chat, full value. I think London's going to get a steal here.
All right. Well, with that, let's turn it back over to Commissioner Cameron Irvine and find out if. Please be wrong.
We actively rooting for Andy to be wrong now?
Yeah, absolutely. Every day.
Hey, the haters will root against you, Cam.
With the 5th pick in the Season 12 SFL Rookie Draft, the London Knights select Reggie Streeter, running back.
All right. And as much as it pains me for Andy to be right, it is fantastic for Reggie Streeter to be selected by the Knights, Class Act organization, and now he is on the board at number 5. Andy, give us your breakdown on Reggie Streeter.
Yeah, Streeter, a great player, very high up there in terms of, the big board, really for the whole time. A lot of people were thinking he might go number 2 to Dallas, which was kind of part of the surprise that Sandlin was able to jump up there and overtake Streeter. Surprised, I think London's honestly probably surprised that he fell into their lap like this, and a great pick for them. And Dags, I'll kind of get into a very small piece of, information that the normal person probably wouldn't think about. But as an owner, it's got to pique your interest a little bit. He is a max value player, max silver, 13th chat ranking. But the part that kind of strikes me, from Canada, so those bits are free there. So that's a guaranteed full progression as long as he stays active.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the chat ranking, as high as it was, it's a good safe bet that he'll be very active in the league. And just looking through the chat, Matthew Slynn saying we got our guy. So I think you're right. I think he might be surprised that he fell. I don't think he was expecting to see the number 2 man on the board falling all the way down to 5. And the fact that he was still there was, I think, a pleasant surprise for the Knights. And yeah, they seem very excited with everything that I see getting posted on in the chat. So, Shan, how was Streeter's performance during the showcase?
It wasn't that great. Again, it's just one game. We already discussed that before. And it's not the playbook, that's going to be designed by London. It was mainly heavily with Thomas Drew, but he had 13 of 13 carries. for 68 yards only. He did have a touchdown in this game, but coming from a team who likes to throw the ball a lot with London, I think they're trying to switch some things up, going back to kind of what Andy was saying. So seeing this right here really surprises me that they're getting a running back. They're going to try some things new in this next season. So look out for Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to make sure that we're acknowledging the people in the chat. Long ago, Donger 922 cheered 500 bits. Base Scout 11 just cheered 1,200 bits. And T-Pat cheered 100 with a lady waving. I'm sure that's towards Andy, right? Little emoji there.
That's the first time in a while there, Dave.
Well, I figured he was probably trying to help you out there, buddy. So the San Francisco Sharks are now on the clock. 3 minutes to go. See the team needs listed. It looks like defense, and more defense. Michael, can you break it down for us?
Yeah, the San Francisco Sharks are in an interesting position right now because they have one of two safeties. They only have a free safety on the roster, so they'll be looking for a strong safety to round out the back end of their defense. Thomas Rahman Jr. played strong safety in the rookie showcase and had the game-winning safety to win the game for his team in that one. And on other options at safety, we got Everett Garrison or even Rich Pratchard, but Rich Pratchard's off the board. So safety, not that big of a deal. And they've also, looking at cornerback, linebacker, defensive line, every defensive position they need help. So any pick they get is going to help their cause this season.
All right. They need anyone and everyone. So that's fantastic. Marcus, who do you see as the best player available for the Sharks?
They're going secondary. I think one of the best players available is going to be Thomas Rahman Jr. He had an outstanding showing in the showcase. And was able to raise his value from -1 back up to max silver, as well as Justin Jones, who could play cornerback as well. I think those two are far and away the top picks for the San Francisco Sharks.
Code Gaming HR in the chat says he's waiting for his phone to ring. So I'm sure a lot of the rookies are on edge. Nice and relaxed atmosphere at this point for the 5 that have been selected, but still plenty to go here in tonight's draft, and it's got to be nerve-wracking. Marcus, you were going through this last season. How are these guys all feeling right now?
I mean, I was scared to death the entire draft. I can't speak for everybody else, but I had talked to teams. I knew who some people were interested, and some people said they weren't interested, but I never knew if people were going to change their mind and take me anyway. And it was just, every time the pick came in, my heart just kind of stopped, and I'm like, is it going to be me?
Yeah. And then it finally was when Atlanta was on the board, and that worked out pretty good for rookie season.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. And see, we have under a minute to go. San Francisco now with about 40 seconds left to make their selection. Got to be looking over this board.
Defensive coordinator Chad Guy in the chat was saying they're excited about this one. That would lead me to believe that they might be going defense on this one. Scanning the board, I think strong safety was the position. Like Chirillo was talking about, there's not many safeties on this board. If you're going to select one, you have to do it now. You cannot, wait until that 20th pick. I don't think that one of them would fall that far. You're going to have to ask someone to play out of their position. And for me, as an owner, safety is a very important position. I'm sure Shan might agree with me with that sentiment. Whether it's a free or a strong, it's important to have a guy back there as the last line of defense. To me, this pick is either Garrison or Rahman Jr. And just because I got to pick one, I'm going to go with Thomas Rahman Jr. Because he will be a max silver at strong safety.
Or potentially nobody at all as the clock hits 0 and either pick is not in or our commissioner / video producer has fallen asleep.
I think Cam's in the back eating nachos, so
more
I
than
think
likely
that San Francisco might get a little bit more time here. That cheese is really sticky down here at SFL headquarters, so I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he makes his way with the card to the front. I know the staff in San Francisco has been working hard. Gabriel Manning, as well as Chad Guy. They've been trying their best to, prepare for this draft, so I'm sure they wouldn't, let the clock expire. And Andrew Rostelli, our player personnel coordinator, is in the chat saying the pick is in kind of just as we suspected there. The only question is, which name is Cam going to call here in a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And looking a little bit ahead until the pick is in, although it looks like we might be getting there right about now. So I will hold off for just a second because here we go. The pick is in for the San Francisco Sharks. Cam, take it away.
With the 6th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the San Francisco Sharks select Justin Jones, cornerback. Welcome to the SFL.
Congratulations to Justin Jones, the newest member of the Sharks. And Andy, as far as Justin Jones goes, as we see Indianapolis getting on the clock here, can you break Justin Jones down for us?
Yeah, another little bit of a surprise from San Francisco here, not necessarily in a bad way at all, though. Justin Jones maxed silver at cornerback, so they're filling, a position with a maxed silver potential. So it's not a bad pick in any way, shape, or form, just not necessarily where we thought they would go. They still have an opening at strong safety, so I guess the question will be, is that what they're intending to do with that 20th pick? Or, where are they going to fill that safety spot, or are they? I think there's a lot of intrigue there with this selection of Justin Jones, but hey, I'm not going to take anything away from his moment, because he's earned his spot, and in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, it is.
Yep, absolutely. I'm sure he's excited to have been selected where he was and to be the new member of the Sharks. And that's one thing for these rookies. Back in the day, you got to basically just negotiate with whatever team that you wanted to right off the bat, and just try to go where you wanted to go. But now with the draft, these rookies end up going where they get selected, and people could look at it different ways. As well, now I don't get to pick the team I want. But on the flip side of that, you're getting selected by a team that wants you. The team has gone out and said, what, out of everybody that's available, that's the guy that we want. So to be picked like that, from an owner's standpoint, Andy, that's got to be a big deal for these guys. For you to be able to go out and say, okay, I'm going to pick this guy to join my team because I think he can make the biggest difference.
Yeah, and it's, a leap of faith from the standpoint that, nothing is guaranteed after this season for these selections. I think a lot of times, like you were saying, when the players were picking where they were going, that was a commitment for, the build, the timing, how long a player would be in an area. When Shannon and I were drafting, it was, a lot of, we're trying to select guys who will be here for their entire careers, and the goal is still the same. The difference is these guys don't get a pick of where they're going, so it's really not only your job to draft the right guy, but also to try and convince him that this is the right spot for him long term.
And Shan's changing gears just a little, instead of talking about stats, some people might be wondering why teams like your Chicago Wildcats and Andy's Vancouver Legion, Mexico City Aztecs, that they're nowhere listed on the board, but you see the Sharks twice, you see the Nightwings twice. Can you explain to people why some of those teams are not there, just so everybody is aware of why some of the teams are missing?
Sure. To first get the ball rolling here, I really had a great pick last year. I think I picked 5th overall in the draft, and was able to pick up a guy who was 37th overall. Okay, and what worked out for me was this kid didn't want to play for, just any old team. He wanted to come to Chicago, turn things around in Chicago, sign at copper value, and now he's the GM of our organization. So when these guys are looking to go somewhere, or a team is looking to place this person somewhere, it's what the team needs and not necessarily what that person needs. So having the guys selected like that, and Andy, we have people that want to come back because they believe in the coaching staff. They believe in what people are doing in that organization. and they're willing to stick it out, whether they sign as a copper, whether they sign as a gold, or whatever. They believe in the team. They believe in the longevity of what we're doing on a week-to-week basis to get our organization better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it fills up the roster, and then obviously, no positions open at that point, so you can't draft, and then those picks end up going to the next team in the list. So just about a minute 22 to go here. So let's talk about the Indianapolis Red Devils and see what they need. Michael Chirillo, let's break down some of their needs here.
Yeah, and their biggest need is a quarterback. The next two picks, which is Indianapolis and Tulsa, they both need quarterbacks. So the onus is on Indianapolis here. Who do they think the best quarterback remaining is? And I've seen a lot of Thomas Drew love in the chat. They think he's going to be here. But I'm going to throw out a little bit of a counter argument, that being Stephen Hacker. I think he's also a great case for Indianapolis as well. And Tulsa is also watching this one very closely.
I don't think it'll be Hacker, and here's why. I think James has been very certain that whatever quarterback he wants them built the right way. And the first step, and I know this is a small one, so Chirillo might want to dig at me with this. Hacker is Max Silver -1 at the quarterback position. Drew is Max Silver the whole way at quarterback, and I think that 1 degree will make a difference. If Indianapolis goes quarterback here, I think it's got to be Drew. But don't discount that they also might go defensive side of the ball. You never can count out that James might pull a rabbit out of his hat and let someone else quarterback his Red Devils.
Marcus, we'll make sure we get to you the next time around. The pick is in. We will turn it over to Cameron Irvine, keep this thing going, announcing Indianapolis's selection.
With the 7th pick in the SFL Season 12 rookie draft, the Indianapolis Red Devils, for now, select Thomas Drew, quarterback. Welcome to the SFL.
And Thomas Drew is selected. He was ranked 6th on the big board, and now he is off. Andy, can you tell us about Thomas Drew and why you think he was the choice for Indianapolis?
Yeah, slight slide for Drew. I thought he might go a little sooner than this. But like Chirillo was saying, I don't think he was going to go much further. If he didn't get through this pick, he was going to go to Tulsa next. And Tulsa, could be frustrated now because the quarterback market has gotten a lot slimmer. There's Stephen Hacker, and then after that, it really starts getting questionable for a lot of these teams in the bottom half of this draft. So a good job by Indianapolis to get there.
The Dead Knight 57 with 100 bits, and Plagues 7 with 700 bits, welcoming TD Drew to the league. And with that, we are 1/3 of the way through the Season 12 rookie draft. And my goodness, it's only 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we're already 1/3 of the way through. So that's good news for all of us analysts who are going to hopefully survive this draft. And Tulsa now on the clock. And we are going to start off with Marcus this time, because Marcus, it seems like every time I get down to you, everybody else has already talked about the best players available, and they're stealing your thunder. So we're just going to throw it right to you and say, you know what, you go first. What is Tulsa looking for as far as who is the best player available for them in your opinion?
So they could go with wide receiver or tight end. One of the people that's still on the board that might be surprising some people is that Garen Malone is still there. He was the GM previously, so he's definitely a high quality pick. Ashley Jackson is still around if they want her at wide receiver. With the 3-point boost she got from the rookie showcase, she would be up to -1 from -4. I'm not entirely sure what they would want to do if they went to quarterback with both Thomas Drew and Moody Mitchell off already. So their pick is kind of a little bit of a mystery to me.
All right, and let's not overlook Thomas Drew, the last selection, too much here. Shan, can you go over some of the stats from the rookie showcase for Thomas Drew?
Yeah, for Virginia, they lost the game, but Thomas Drew did some amazing work. He was 17 of 21, 269 yards. He did have 2 blemishes with 2 interceptions. I think both quarterbacks had 2 interceptions, but he also had a touchdown in that game. So I think that was a stellar move by Indianapolis to pick him up. I think that he's going to do wonders for the Red Devils.
So boosted Leafin, I'm assuming I'm saying that right? Boosted Leafian? I don't know. I can't pronounce anything.
That would
anyway.
be Leafeon, Cam. It's a Pokemon.
Well,
is it?
Mike, so.
Okay. Hey, listen, I don't know. I mean, my oldest son Nick, who also plays for Mexico City, he chases those Pokemon things around with his phone, and I don't know.
Pokemans.
I call them Poke Bears. It gets them all bent out of shape. I say, hey, you going out to catch Poke Bears? And he's like, what are you talking about? Dad jokes. Hey, it is what it is. So under 3 minutes to go here for the Tulsa Desperados. Oh, anyway, the boosted Leafeon, apparently. 1,200 bits welcoming Thomas Drew to the league. Thank you very much for your support. 115 people still no fruit bat attack. I cannot be your dad. I have enough children. 115 people still live with us. I think some people might be dropping off after their team gets selected. Don't do that. Stay with us. There's still all of the teams that have selected still will be making additional picks. So hopefully if you left, you are coming back. So 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go. Michael Truillo, can you break down the needs for Tulsa?
And Marcus already discussed quarterback, and Stephen Hacker is really the only great one left on the board. If they were to go maybe wide receiver tight end side, and Ashley Jackson is still up there and being the MVP of the rookie showcase, I think that seeing that she's still up there is a big shock to me. And also a tight end potentially in Garen Malone as well. So plenty of options for Tulsa if they want to look elsewhere for their quarterback.
Minute 45.
And if I can...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. If I could chime in what Tarula just said and also Marcus, Ashley Jackson, to me, had a phenomenal game. And she was 3 for 3 and 106 yards. 3 targets, 3 completions for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. That's incredible. Wow. So she's definitely one of those that's
a little low on the chat ranking, and I think that's more reflective of the time that she spent coming into the league, not necessarily reflective of her value across the Discord channel. And I think that's something that we'll look at after the pick. After she gets selected, wherever she does, because I believe fully she will go in this top 21, and she'll definitely have a lot of value for whatever franchise picks her. Kind of a diamond in the rough player for this league, but I wouldn't count out Everett Garrison here either at linebacker.
30 seconds to go. We should find out soon who the pick is, and with that, there it is. The pick is in. Turn it over to Cam so we can find out who the selection is.
With the 8th pick in the SFL's rookie draft for season 12, the Tulsa Desperados. If I could find my way. The Tulsa Desperados have made history. Ashley Jackson, the first female quarterback in league history.
Wow.
All right, fantastic. Ashley Jackson, congratulations. First female quarterback in league history. And Andy, I'll have you break that down. But also, in addition to talking about Ashley and what she'll bring to the team as a player, as Cam just said, it's the first female quarterback, not necessarily the first female player. We've had, I believe, kickers and punters so far. There might have been another one, but the league history probably better than, heck, maybe even better than Cam at this point. Can you tell us how monumental this really is?
Yeah, this is a great, moment, not only for Ashley Jackson, but for the rest of the league, too, from a competitive standpoint. I think this just shows the versatility of the SFL and the opportunity that, no matter who you are and no matter where you come from, you have as much opportunity as the next person in this league to be a star. And I think Ashley Jackson just epitomizes that for the SFL. She shows the league that, she deserves the opportunity to play quarterback. And for Tulsa, a great move. I mean, Ashley has shown in the chat that she knows her football. She understands exactly, what they need to do. And like Shan was saying, she made a big impact in that rookie game while it was at receiver. I still think this is a good pick at quarterback because it gives Tulsa the opportunity to have a quarterback who has a lot of value in a pick. So I think this is a great move for both Jackson and Tulsa because, keep in mind, Mike, that Tulsa, they didn't have the greatest year last year, but the year before they were in the playoffs and a strong team to contend with, and Jackson could put this franchise right back on the map.
Plague 7 with another 1,000 bits for SFL diversity, and Mighty RX right after him, 5,000 bits, the high rolling Mighty RX. Throwing bits out there like they're just, burning a hole in his pocket or something. Thank you for that, Mighty RX. And Shan, you talked about the stats in the showcase for Ashley Jackson. Obviously that was at a wide receiver position, no playbooks, all that stuff. But, the kind of production that, you could see right there, a little bit of a surprise pick going to have her be a quarterback. But, as an owner, I would imagine that you're looking for players that can produce. And, if somebody can produce as well as she did at receiver, I'm sure you would expect to see the same sort of thing at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about, again, going back to the progression. She's going to be there. She's going to progress. She's going to be the leader of this team. She's going to be everything that Tulsa's wanting.
And with 3 minutes,
he's the 8th overall pick.
Yeah. So congratulations to Ashley Jackson. But we have the Atlanta Swarm on the clock with under 3 minutes to go. So let's move on to Atlanta. Got to keep the night rolling along. And Marcus, I'm going to go back to you first, if for no other reason than you are the quarterback of the Atlanta Swarm. And, I see team need there, wide receiver, tight end. Are you thinking that you want to get yourself a teammate here? I mean, what are you looking for? Well, when I say teammate, I guess I mean a target for you to throw to. Obviously, defense would still be a teammate too, but who do you want? Forget what the team needs. Who do you want?
I can't give away all our secrets here. We're about to have our player announced in a little bit here, and I'm going to leave that as a surprise for everyone here. We definitely are looking for somebody on the offense here to give us somebody to throw the ball to. I will say that. We had LB Allen leave as wide receiver. We brought back Siege Falco, who is a Pro Bowler, so we were looking for somebody to step up and help our offense run more efficiently.
All right, and before we go on to anyone else, just a little message from the commissioner who's whispering in my ear. A little freaky, but he's doing it. So would you like to announce the pick for your team?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that for you guys.
All right, we will make sure that happens. But Michael Chirillo, what are the team needs in your opinion? We see them listed there. What do you think is the biggest need for the Swarm?
Well, Marcus just said it. He wants a weapon to throw to and to throw some touchdown passes to this season. And I think Garen Malone is still in there as the top wide receiver in the draft, still available. And if you're going to go with a wide receiver or a tight end, I think that's the way that Atlanta's going to look. They could also go to the defensive side of the ball, looking at picking up a defensive lineman or corner, another one of the teams that needs a corner in this draft.
I think it's got to be Randy Mercury. The man has fallen, on this night. He's max silver. He's willing to play receiver, and he's got a lot of value there at the max silver position. His chat, is not as good as Malone, but when you're talking about a 1.5 point difference in who's catching the ball, that's a lot of value that you can make up on the other side of the receiver and really, change the way that player plays. So to me, I think Randy Mercury has to get a good long look from Atlanta here if they're going receiver.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of quality players left here on the board. And really, as far as players go and what their primary position and secondary positions were, we've already seen that doesn't even necessarily totally matter. The teams are going to pick who they think is the absolute best fit for their team, and whether that's the position that they put down or not. So, we could see a surprise pick. We could see one based on the position that they've been looking for, and the clock has expired, so the pick should be coming in here pretty soon. So noticing a couple people in the chat mentioning that our video is locking up. Yeah, technical limitations, it does happen. We are going to be freezing throughout the night as picks are being brought in, and there's only so much that the technology can do to keep up with us. So we will see who the pick is and get New Orleans on the clock as we round out the top 10 selections. We're working on the 9th pick right now. And it looks like we are getting pretty close to the pick being in, and I believe it is in now. So yes, the pick is in. We are going to have the one and only quarterback for the Atlanta Swarm announcing this selection.
All right, everybody ready for our pick? With the 9th pick in the SFL draft, the Atlanta Swarm will take a tight end, and we are drafting Jamal Wooding.
All right, Jamal Wooding, tight end. Shan, how about that? Another tight end off the board. 2 tight ends in the top 10. I don't even know if a tight end was drafted in this draft. I mean, which is a travesty of justice, quite frankly. But 2 tight ends selected in the top 10. What do you think of that?
I mean, I think it's good for the league. I mean, they've seen what tight ends can do. You got Tiberius Bovine and other guys like that, myself, yourself included. And it just brings versatility to the league.
And Marcus, you just made the selection. You're going to be chucking balls to this man. What do you think of the pick of Jamal Wooding?
Jamal is good. He got here a little bit later, missed a couple check-ins, but he's been enthusiastic the entire time. Has always been happy to be a team player at pretty much any position. He's the kind of teammate you want, and he's going to be in there palling around with our Pro Bowl wide receiver, Siege Falco, and I think he's the exact type of person that we want helping our offense in this upcoming season.
Nacho Sicario, the Queen City GM with 100 bits, saying he's ready for his pick. We are not ready for your pick. The New Orleans Pharaohs are on the clock right now, and you are at number 15. So we still have a little ways to go until we get to you, Nacho. But now, after Andy mentioned nachos and, Nacho in the chat, somebody's got to bring me some nachos. I have kids, and they're here somewhere. And I know I have chips. I know I have cheese. Someone's got to bring me some nachos. Anyway, moving on from that, Andy, why don't you break down that selection for us? Jamal Wooding, tight end to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't want to take anything away from Jamal because I definitely think that chat-wise he did everything that he could to get where he needed to be. However, when you do look at Atlanta taking a guy who's max silver -4, when there are guys, who are up there at max silver -1, the question is, could they have gotten the tight end position? Well, Garen Malone is sitting there at max silver -2, so there's 2 points in difference, and I know, we talk about a lot, it's about getting the right guy, and I completely agree with that statement. However, it's also about getting the right guy at the right value. So I'm not 100% sure, what Atlanta's cap space looks like if you're trying to get a better grasp on that. I know that the Beat team does a really good job, and they've been doing a really solid job, throughout the process of keeping track of who's been doing what and writing a lot of really solid articles. So they probably, know more than I do about Atlanta's cap space. I'm sure Marcus can speak to that. I just am not sure whether there was more value to be had with that selection or if they, had to get a guy who was at a certain value to fit their cap. But either way, like I said, Wooding's a great guy in the chat. Definitely deserves a spot, and I'm glad he went to a solid organization.
All right, and that's an excellent point, too, that some people might not, even be aware of, if they're not involved with all of the behind-the-scenes things that take place as an owner, with cap space being what it is. I mean, you only can fit so high of a player in there. Sometimes even if the player that you really want is still on the board and still available, you might not even be able to get them if it's just going to cost you too much for your cap. But, again, definitely not taking anything away from Jamal Wooding. I'm just happy as can be that there are 2 top 10 picks tight end. It's just unfortunate for both of them that my stats are just going to blow theirs away. But, you only can do so much.
Well, you only get the stats if you catch the ball, Mike, so.
As long as I make it back to the playoffs, I'll catch the ball. The regular season, I'm just a blocker. So, got a block for the Ray Bentley. Anyhow, under 3 minutes to go. Heck, we're almost at 2 minutes to go, so we better move on to the New Orleans Pharaohs. And Michael Cirillo, why don't you break it down for us? Running back, tight end, defensive end. Where are the Pharaohs going?
I think running back is going to be their main concern. And the best one still on the board, at least in my mind, is Logan Jack. He's got that max contract primed and ready to go. And it's honestly a bit baffling to me that he's fallen this far down the rankings. And I think somebody mentioned it a bit earlier, but this draft has certainly thrown some curveballs at us, and that may be the reason that a lot of these high-value players have fallen as far as they have.
Well, it might have even have been a surprise to the Pharaohs because they only took about 3 minutes. They're one of the fastest teams so far tonight at making their selection. The pick is in.
Well,
Turn it over
I'm
to...
going to jump in right quick here. I think it's Randy Mercury. He's number 4 on the big board that the beat team put out. I don't know where Cirillo is getting his top running back rankings, but Mercury's got max value, so I don't know why he's not the best running back on the board here.
Well, we
Last
will see.
word in edgewise, I swear.
Who did Cirillo say?
Logan Jack.
And what are you saying, Andy?
I'm saying it's Randy Mercury, who's got the 31st final chat ranking.
There must have been a reason why the two of you were put on opposite sides of the analysis room.
I'm coming for you, Cirillo. Where are you? You're down this
and I'm in between them.
That's right. Yeah, you got a referee. With the and by the way, too, only one defensive player taken in the top 10 of the draft so far, cornerback Justin Jones. With the 10th pick in the SFL's rookie draft for season 12. That's right. New Orleans selected it. It's another way to use it in a tagline, I suppose. The New Orleans Pharaohs select Logan Jack, running back. Boom, Andy.
There we go.
Welcome to the SFL, Logan.
I got a prediction right. Here we go.
Well, yeah, I may as well turn it over to you, Cirillo. I was going to turn it over to Andy, but he's wrong. So, we'll just turn it back over to you. What do you think of this pick?
I mean, I think it's a good pick, and obviously New Orleans didn't have the opening season that they wanted to last year, and a lot of things are changing over there for the purple and gold, and I think to get to the playoffs for the first time in their history, I think they need a good balance on offense between passing and running the ball, and I think Logan Jack is a plug-and-play player. It's a great pick.
Andy, even though you were wrong, I guess we'll still let you give your thoughts on Logan Jack as we welcome him into the league.
And I don't think he's a bad pick by any way, shape, or form. I just don't understand why he was the top back. I mean, his chat ranking coming into the week was 78, and he got it up to 58, which, is a good jump. But Mercury has consistently been in the top 5, 6, 7 of the big boards, still sitting on the board, willing to play running back or receiver. 31 final chat ranking, still has Max Silver. It's a toss-up between these two guys. At the end of the day, New Orleans thinks that Logan Jack is their guy, and I can't fault them for that. We won't know until the end of the season who is more valuable where, but, no rest for the wicked for Randy Mercury. You can't take too much time off because here comes Carolina, and Shan, I know you and me have had some great backs in Carolina. A.J. Francis sure did the running well last season for them. Well, top need right now is a running back, and Randy Mercury could follow up quite the stable of Carolina Skyhawk running back.
Yeah, I think he was the workhorse in that in that win over the Griffins last week. He had 14 of 14 for 91 yards and 1 touchdown, so he could be quite the back. Very patient run. So, hey, I think this is where Carolina needs to go as well.
And there's something to be said too for the where people are selected and how they might end up performing. Like you said, just because they end up getting selected high doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do fantastic work on the field, or just because they aren't selected high. Last season we had 2 rounds, and in the second round with the 26th overall pick, Sioux Falls Sparrows selected Colin Hart. And I'm sure a lot of people know the name Colin Hart because he was running all over their team like gangbusters in the second round.
He actually set the record for Sioux Falls, the team's record for most yards in a season last year. It's a little media guide shout out there. You can get all that information in that, which is coming soon.
Right, we'll get another media guide. I was just about to try to find mine so I could show it to everybody. Did you steal it when you were here, Andy?
Oh, I wish I did.
It was
That
right
would've been
there,
great.
And now it's gone. I think he stole it.
I blame your cat.
I have another one now, by the way. Anyway, that's totally not relevant. But so back to the draft. 2.5 minutes to go. The Carolina Skyhawks are on the clock. So congratulations to Logan Jack of the Pharaohs, but on to the Skyhawks. And with the team needs running back, tight end, strong safety, and kicker. Michael, is this the first time that we've seen kicker as a team need for any of these teams?
It is, and the only kicker currently on there are 2 kickers on the big board. Probably the best one you could get is Kramer Jackson. That's a bronze -6. And the other kicker willing to be taken is Drew Reilly at a copper -7. And I don't think that either of those players, as great as kickers do matter, as great as those players are or have the potential to be in this league, I don't think they're going to be taken in the first round of a draft. I think that what you all have said is definitely correct, and Randy Mercury is probably going to be the pick here. But who knows? This draft has been throwing us curveballs all night.
No, Terrell, you're not allowed to agree with me on anything. You're supposed to disagree. We talked about this. I sent you an email.
If you could just disagree with him no matter what, just start off every sentence with, "No, Andy, I'm..." Then, even if you're going to say the exact same thing, just start it off by telling him that he's
fine. They're going to sign Jam Pearson as a running back. Let's go with that.
Now you sound like my mom, and you just disagree with me at all times.
So Shan, we're talking about kickers here, and people are saying that maybe kickers shouldn't go this high, but being the father of a certain kicker of the Mexico City Aztecs, Cole Varner, I certainly think the kickers do matter, since he was darn near in the running for MVP of the league. So why don't you let us know what you think about kickers and whether one should be taken this high?
I don't like him. I mean, I actually sent him to his room season 9. So no, I think it would be I don't know. At the top, there's so many other opportunities for placement. I think kickers. We don't have one on Chicago, so kickers to me is the bare minimum. So for me, I would go with a running back here if I was Carolina.
All right. Well, the pick is in, and
maybe a little sleeper here. Denzel Maverick, also Canadian, gets free bits. Max Silver -1, not out of the realm of possibility here.
With the last word in, Andy Hamilton. So we'll turn it over to Cameron Irvine to get the official last word in for the Skyhawks.
Well, I got one more. Oh.
We should start a drinking game every time Andy gets the last word in and interrupts Mike.
We would die. We would die.
That's the Vancouver locker room.
But hey, by the way, speaking of a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so I know you can't see it in the office now, but we actually, in between picks, so I receive the pick, and then I have to go through, I change up all the colors and the graphics to the team that's up next. We get the name in there, we render the graphics live with our high-powered machine here, and then we get them incorporated into our broadcast, all while I am trying to just breathe. So we get these out as fast as possible to everybody. So a lot going on behind the scenes. We got war rooms all through my direct messages. All of these guys are putting up analysis. Andy Hamilton's all over social media. And so we've got a slew of people. Our administrators are keeping teams, or our league staff rather, keeping teams in tune with whether or not they're on the clock and how many minutes are left, and adding rookies into locker rooms. So there's a lot going on here. With all that said, the 11th pick in the I'm surprised Andy didn't even interrupt me on all that time.
Well, I might have one more thing.
With the 11th pick in the Season 12 SFL rookie draft, the Carolina Skyhawks select Randy Mercury, running back. Welcome to the SFL.
You finally got one, Andy.
Got one?
Boys, knock it off. My gosh, I have to play dad here too. Randy Mercury is the selection, and Andy, since really love the spotlight, we will go right back to you and let you tell us all about Randy Mercury and why he's the best fit for the Skyhawks.
Yeah, well, great minds think alike, and James Klein, me, and Shan all have great minds, and so Randy Mercury is the selection. I'm amazed he fell this far. The 4th overall, player on the beat team's big board coming into this draft, and he fell, all the way to pick 11. That's a great, value selection for James Klein and the Carolina Skyhawks, and they're getting a guy, who, James Klein knows how to run the football. Shan and I have discussed, multiple times that they, often have a good running back, whether it's Johnny English or AJ Francis or, many of the backs that they've had in their history. And Randy Mercury, first of all, what a name to add to that list. But also, great for him to go to a team that has such a history of successfully running the football.
Well, yeah, and I was going to mention that, about Carolina Skyhawks and their season last season. I mean, they started off, surprising everybody. I think they went 6-0 before they finally lost a game. They had an incredible run and then kind of fell off near at the end. But you talk about the running backs. AJ Francis had been with the team 2 seasons and had back-to-back 1,700-yard rushing seasons. And now, he went and signed in Tallahassee during the offseason, and they needed to fill some pretty gigantic shoes. And that's the selection, Randy Mercury. So, Shan, we haven't mentioned stats here in a little bit. How did Randy Mercury do in the rookie showcase?
I mean, he did okay. Again, it was a quarterback show.
Right.
Excuse me. But, he was 14 of 14 carries, 14 of 14. Carries, yes. For 91 yards. He did have 1 touchdown. So, he's a powerful back. Again, he has that great vision, as we've seen in this game. But
I'd even say that might be a little bit even better than okay. I mean, you say 91 yards, 14 carries, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Sold. I'll take that every week. I mean,
usually you're handing that ball off 20, 35 times to get those kind of yards. So to get 14 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown, that's immaculate.
I'll take
he's
that
going to a team. Exactly. I mean, he's going to a team that really utilizes the run in their offense. So he's very blessed to get picked up. I know he didn't go top. I know he didn't go in the top of the field, but landing in a place like Queen City or landing in a place like Carolina, places that, typically running the ball, he's going to be a star on this team.
And the Las Vegas Fury with their new logo are on the clock. And, when we talk about the team needs for them, we once again see a couple of offensive positions, a couple of defensive positions. And we haven't really seen a lot of defense go yet. We've had 11 picks made and only 1 on the defensive side of the ball. Michael, do you think we are going to see more defense finally, or is this going to kind of be sticking to the trend of a night of offense?
Well, do I think we will see more defense? Or we're going to restart. Do I want to see more defense? Yes. Will we? I'm not sure. It has been the night of offense, as you said. The Las Vegas Fury, gotta shout out that new logo. It looks fantastic. And are looking for a linebacker to replace Levant Irvine, who left for Vancouver. See Andy up there on the screen. And I think if they're going to go for a direct swap, since Zach Sadlin is off the board, I think Everett Garrison is a good pick, only a minus 1.5 at the linebacker position. And if they want to go offense, the pick is in. I should shut up and let Cam get to it.
You got Ramen Jr. there, too. It might be nice to reunite the family.
Yeah, and I know all about having your family together on one team. That is fun. So, like you said, the pick is in. So, Cam, let us know, was anybody right this time?
With the 12th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the Las Vegas Fury have selected Thomas Ramen Jr., cornerback. Welcome to the SFL.
And Thomas Ramen Jr., the newest member of the Las Vegas Fury. Andy, take it away.
Yeah, I believe that's the 4th pick I've got right, Torillo. You have what, 1?
Never mind. Torillo, take it away. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I don't mind. Awesome family story here for the Ramens. It's just a whole noodle party down in Las Vegas. Disgusting cheapo noodles in a city that smells like cigarettes. And boy, are they trying to get their way to the championship. Interesting that they're drafting the cornerback. Wasn't one of the spots we had down for need for this team, but at Max Silver -1, that's a great value. And Ramen, again, another one of those guys that I'm a little surprised fell down to 12. But for the quarterbacks, I think for the quarterback, Thomas Ramen, there's no better feeling than getting to play with someone you wanted to play football with, especially when it's family.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than that. I mean, when my boys and I came into the league, we were kind of all over the place. I was at Queen City, and a couple of them were over on the London Knights, and another on the St. Louis Gladiators, and all fantastic teams. I gotta love my Queen City Corsairs representing Western New York. And for those of you who don't know, Queen City is referring to Buffalo, New York. Just need to throw that out there. There always seems to be confusion. It's not Carolina because we have Carolina. Anyhow, so but yeah, it was great getting everybody over to Mexico City, and having us all on one team together, along with my partner in crime, Matt Wilson. So to have us all there is great, and it's going to be great for the Ramens as well. So Shan, was there any noteworthy stats for Thomas Ramen Jr. during the showcase?
He didn't do anything really, not that much. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
He had 7 tackles. He had 7 tackles, 2 for loss, 4 bat downs, and 1 interception. What didn't he do? I mean, he could have ran the football.
Yep.
So huge numbers for Thomas Ramen Jr.
Yeah, and you get those sort of numbers in the rookie showcase, and get some coaching to put the right playbooks in, get him in the right position to make plays, and he's just going to get better from there. So fantastic selection for the Fury, and we are moving on to the Sioux Falls Sparrows. Now, Sioux Falls, if I remember correctly, made 4 picks in last season's draft, and now they only have 1. So there was a little bit more maneuverability during the last draft, the ability to trade because of having multiple rounds. This time they might very well be stuck here at 13 to make their selection, lucky number 13. See the team needs on the board. We see kicker once again back up there, but it looks like their team needs are all defense, Michael. So what do you think? Are we going to see this defensive, I can't call it a streak yet, we only have 1 defender here, number 12. Are we going to see defense keep going?
I mean, I think we will. I think we're going to see a cornerback this time out there. Sioux Falls signed Christopher Dodd. He's coming over from London to take one of the corner spots, and I think he gets a partner in crime out there trying to shut receivers down all season long in Sioux Falls.
And Marcus, looking at the best players available here for the Sioux Falls Sparrows, do you have any predictions on where they might go?
If they want to go quarterback, they could definitely go Stephen Hacker or maybe even Garen Malone.
Yeah, Garen Malone still on the board. Max Silver -2. What's his chat ranking? Number 72. And Andy, you obviously have been wanting to make predictions all night. We still have almost 2 minutes to go. So, hey, go ahead. Burn some air for us.
Well, I'll talk about a guy who, while he deserves a spot, he's also got the value to boot, and very well could be getting some free bits coming his way. They listed defensive tackle as a possible need. Denzel Maverick has defensive tackle as a primary position. He'll be a max silver there. Any other position, he'll be a max silver -1. So, I mean, the pick is in now, so we'll have to see. But Maverick's a guy to keep an eye on.
And we will turn it back over to Cam with the 13th selection.
Well, clearly I'm getting tired because I gave a spoiler and put the wrong graphic up. So that's what happens when one guy runs the whole show. But with that said, the 13th pick in the SFL's rookie draft for season 12 is John Barnhart at cornerback. And with that, to give us all just a quick second to catch our breath, since I can't even speak anymore. Welcome to the SFL, John. Let's take a look at the new or the newest team to get a rebrand from Matt Doyle Designs. It's next. It's the Tallahassee Pride. What do you think, guys?
Oh, wee mama.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I really like the alternate with the sharp T there and the paw. I think this speaks a lot to Frank and the type of organization he's built. They're strong, they're fierce, and they know exactly, what they want to do on the ball. So I really like this look from Tallahassee.
Yeah, I'm not really a cat fan.
Not a cat guy. Oh my gosh, Shan, come on.
He prefers raccoons.
I thought it was
better than peanuts.
Gators and boiled peanuts. That's what Shan likes. No, I like it. You got the lion stare in front and center. It's a little bit even more intimidating than the last one. And that's definitely something that the Tallahassee Pride needed, was to become even more intimidating and make teams fear them even more than they did before, because, every other game going in there, you just kind of thought, well, this is a gimme win. And, kidding, obviously, it's kind of hard to beat the Pride. So with that, we are going to...
Dallas.
Not if you're Dallas. They can pull off the upset of the century. But 14th pick. 14th pick is now on the board. And Queen City is on the clock. So Nacho Sicario finally can make his selection. Hopefully the player he wanted was still available. So I'm sure
I hope the player he wanted was cheesy and delicious. I mean the Nacho. No, I'll stick with it.
Yeah, just go with it. So I'm sure he's on the horn with Eric Barkley trying to figure out what they are going to do. And we talk about the team needs here for Queen City, and Cam is feverishly working to get his graphics caught back up to our broadcast. Trillo, you have the list right there in front of you. Take it away. What are the team needs here for the Queen City Corsairs?
Well, the Queen City Corsairs team needs are about as wide and deep as the Atlantic Ocean right now. They have the least amount of players signed of any team in the entire league. They could take a cornerback, a wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, defensive lineman. The list goes on. And with the amount of good players left available, I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. But if you're going to zone in on one thing, Andy mentioned last pick about Denzel Maverick, the defensive tackle, and that's one of the needs that is listed here for Queen City, and I think you wouldn't go wrong with getting another beefy front line to try and get after that quarterback.
And the clock might read 4 minutes 44 seconds to go, but Nacho Sicario is too excited to contain his enthusiasm in the chat, already saying his pick is in and cheering 400 bits along the way. But while we wait for the pick to officially come in from the league, we will turn it over to Marcus Dunhill, who is the best player available, even though, like Michael said, they basically need any of these guys. Who do you think that they could take that would most benefit their team?
I think they could potentially take Stephen Hacker. They could take Denzel Maverick or Garen Malone, Everett Garrison. I mean, there's any of these people would be great picks for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do still see a glaring need at tight end. It just hasn't been the same there since their last tight end left. Oh well. But hey, they can't have everything. Andy, what do you see them doing here? A lot of needs.
Yeah, I think Garen Malone is an interesting conversation now at this point with not a lot of full value players on the board. He's starting to eke into the conversation. Denzel Maverick still sits there. I don't know if defensive tackle's where you go with this wide open of a team, though. Another guy that's kind of sleeping in a lot of people's minds is Jacob Gustafson. A very high chat ranking, missed a lot of the value because he was in the playoffs actually under another name. So that's a guy to kind of keep on your radar when we talk about wide receiver and cornerbacks because, he could be a guy that really surprises a lot of people because, he's been here for a while. He's not going to miss any progression. It really just will come down to, is that Max Silver -4 something a team is willing to bite the bullet for?
Right, yeah, for sure. And now at about 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go on this selection, we will find out soon who they're going to be taking as we're rolling up on 2/3 of the way through the draft, which actually means we are almost done seeing these teams for the first time. We have one more team, the Houston Hyenas, and then we are going to circle back to the beginning of our draft board, or I should say beginning of the draft selections, and start back over with St. Louis, who, basically the way the draft ended up working with some teams having full rosters, we needed to recycle some of those picks that were belonging to other teams and give them back to the teams that were at the beginning of the draft. So it's kind of like having 2 rounds, only a short second. And
Dags,
2 minutes to go.
Shut up.
The pick is in. I was trying to. You had to speak. So we'll turn it over to Cameron Irvine for this selection.
With the 14th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the Queen City Corsairs select wide receiver Stephen Hacker. Welcome to the SFL.
All right, so Stephen Hacker is the selection. He had primary position listed at quarterback, secondary at running back. He's Max Silver -1. I believe he was in the showcase as a free safety, and now he's selected as a wide receiver. So, Andy, he's been kind of listed all over the place, and now the pick is in, and he's the newest wide receiver for the Corsairs. What do you think of this pick?
Yeah, Hacker, a little bit of a quiet guy. 75 was the final chat ranking for him, which locks in as one of the lower chat rankings we see in the Max Silver column. Nice guy, and I think that kind of fits the Eric Barkley build. Quiet, but knows what he's doing. Obviously, Eric Barkley feels comfortable taking him. And an overall athlete. I think Stephen Mullinex, owner of the Dallas Lobos, said it best. He put something out earlier in the week that said, owners are looking for people who are athletes, not necessarily. I don't need a great running back as long as I can find, a great player, a great athlete. I don't need a guy who can do one job really well. I need a guy who can do a lot of jobs really well. So Stephen Hacker, that guy, who's been all over the field, and clearly Queen City and Eric Barkley as well as Nacho Sicario really value that.
And I'll go in on that, Andy. Being that, a lot of guys are one-dimensional, you're talking about a guy, like Steven said, that has versatility. So in this game, Stephen Hacker had 7 solo tackles, 3 bat downs, and 1 interception. So he already knows how to catch the ball.
Yeah, there you go. Even on the defensive side of the ball, he's still showing already that he can pluck it out of the sky. And now wide receiver, he's going to get that opportunity a lot. AJ Caswell throwing him the ball there out in Buffalo, and hopefully he doesn't mind a little bit of snow. We get a couple inches here and there, and by inches I mean feet. So we have the Houston Hyenas on the board. Damon Simeon trying to decide who he wants to pick. And while he's doing that, we'll try to decide who we think he might pick. Michael Chirillo, team needs defensive end, corner, and kicker. Once again, we see special teams listed on the board. Here we are. And now the bottom third of the draft. Is this too high to take a kicker, or do we think we might actually see one now?
I mean, we might see a kicker here. I think it's a lot more likely that the Houston Hyenas are going to go with a quarterback to play opposite Paul Rubens, who signed over the offseason from Oklahoma City at the corner spot. The best one on my mind still on the board is actually, but we've got there's not a lot of corners left. Drew Reilly is in there as a copper player. And we've also got Jam Pearson as a silver -5 at the cornerback spot. So we don't know. And with all the wackiness that's going on in this draft, anybody could be taken at any position.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus, we will turn it over to you. And, who are you thinking could be the pick here? Where do you think they might go?
I think the best fit for them would be Garen Malone. One of those solid players who they know is going to be reliable. They could also go ahead and get Everett Garrison as well. I think one of those two people are probably their best choice.
I'm gonna say Gustafsson. I think at a wide receiver, primary, secondary, cornerback, silver -4, 32 chat ranking is pretty high. He was around for the playoffs last season. He's a proven guy. I think that is of good value to Damon Simeon, and I think Gustafsson might be their guy here.
Okay, Andy, be quiet. The pick is in.
See, he at least was polite about it. So with that, the pick is in with 2 minutes to go on the clock. Cameron Irvine, back to you.
With the 15th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, one of our analysts was right. The 15th pick goes to... That's wrong.
Steven Hacker! Hey, he's been picked twice.
Drama. The 15th pick actually goes to Everett Garrison, cornerback.
There we go. Everett Garrison
Welcome
is
to
the
SFL.
selection finally off the board. And Andy, can you break down the Everett Garrison selection for us all?
Yeah, Everett Garrison, a good player, was listed as linebacker or strong safety. 57 was the final chat ranking. He's going to be a max silver -3 at that position. Played linebacker during the game in the previous week. So, another one of those athletes that plays all around, but Garrison has done a good job of making his name known. And I don't think this is a bad pick by DeMond and the Hyenas by any stretch of the imagination. Had to get a cornerback to replace Ryan Michaels, who left in the offseason, retiring to join the league staff. And I think Everett Garrison will slot in there really well.
And Shan, Everett Garrison in the rookie showcase, looks like he was playing a linebacker during the game. Can you break down what he did stat-wise?
4 solo tackles, 2 assists, 1 bat down, and 1 tackle for loss. So he can, he can get into the backfield.
Yeah, which is important for a corner. A lot of times teams will send the corners on a blitz to try to catch the quarterback off guard, and I think sometimes we see more sacks out of corners and safeties than we do out of linebackers sometimes. So, he should be a good fit in that position. And with that, we've circled back, and the St. Louis Gladiators are once again back on the clock. And I see defensive end listed as a need, Michael, but I'm just scrolling down here through this big board, and a name that jumps out to me, Denzel Maverick. He was listed 9th on the big board, and unless I'm blind, I don't think he's been selected yet. It shows the primary position of defensive tackle. Do you think that could be a selection here? Do you think they're not going to go defensive end, or are they going to go a different direction?
I think that's a great pick, Dags. I think Denzel Maverick is, along with Garen Malone, the best players overall still remaining that have not been picked yet. And defensive tackle and defensive end, it doesn't take a lot to transition between those two positions. So I can definitely see them going with Denzel Maverick here. I don't think they're going to go offense. Garen Malone at a wide receiver or tight end slot, maybe. But St. Louis already has 2 wideouts and a tight end on their roster, so I don't see them going that route. It's more likely to be a defensive pick.
And I couldn't agree more, honestly. But Marcus Dunhill, you're the guy who's telling us who is the best player available. And, obviously, we see Denzel up there, ninth on the big board, still sitting there waiting as we're at pick 16. But what are you thinking? Who's the best available that you think might be a good fit for the St. Louis Gladiators?
Oh, gosh, if they're still looking for a wide receiver, somebody on cornerback, I think it'd be a good time to pick up Garen Malone. Not only did they get Moody Mitchell, who was our general manager last year, they could pick up another really solid player here on this pick, and I think it would be very smart for them to take that opportunity and do so. If I were them, that's the pick I would make.
And as a rookie last season too, Marcus, I don't recall how long you were sitting there where you thought you might go as far as where you ended up getting picked, but how are these guys feeling that saw themselves up high on the big board and now we're at pick 16 and they might not be there? Do you think, are they getting really anxious or nervous, or what do you think's going through their heads right now?
I mean, some of them would probably be anxious. I know that, when I was a rookie, I went and talked to all 21 teams, so I kind of knew I'd end up somewhere. I did end up relatively around where I wanted to go, but, the better thing for these players, even if they go a little bit later, that means some of these teams have a bit of a better record, and now we're looping back around again. But, I think any of these players would just be happy to be a part of the league no matter what team they get put on.
Absolutely. And with that, the pick is in. We will find out who St. Louis has selected with their second pick here in the Season 12 draft. Cameron Irvine.
With the 16th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the St. Louis Gladiators have selected Zachary Bates, outside linebacker. Welcome to the SFL.
And Zachary Bates is the selection. And I've made one pick this whole draft and it was wrong. So I guess I won't guess anymore. But Andy, what do you think of Zachary Bates?
Yeah, this might be the most surprising pick of the draft so far. Zachary Bates is listed as max copper -3. Chat value is up there at 78. So that's obviously a positive. I have it listed as a running back or defensive end. So I guess we're making the transition from defensive end to outside linebacker. It's not too far out of the realm. But to me, this must mean that Colin and Dwayne saw something in Bates as a user, and they believe that he could be, really valuable to their franchise in the locker room, because there are some guys, up there who are still available. Whether they're going to play linebacker or not is a little bit of a question mark, so maybe that was very important. But, you have a guy like Kyle Kruger who could go max bronze -1 at linebacker. So, Bates, a good pick. I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely the most surprising for me so far.
And Shan, can you break down what he did during the rookie showcase?
I have, not that much on him. He didn't really get into the game that much, but that's still to be determined with St. Louis's playbook, their build, where they're going to run their playbooks and stuff.
And we have the Dallas Lobos back on the clock now, and they selected Zach Sandlin with their first pick, running back. And Michael, what are their needs now that running back is off the board? It looks like we're looking at a little bit more defense, so we might see the run on defense keep on going here. Ever since what was it, the 12th pick, I believe, that Las Vegas Fury had, it's been all defense except for Steven Hacker sneaking in there at wide receiver. So what do you think they're going to do?
You are correct, and I think I'm just going to roll my pick from that I thought St. Louis was going to take right on over to this one. I think Denzel Maverick is still the top guy on the board at defensive tackle, defensive end. Both of them are listed as needs for this team. I think you can't really go wrong with with Denzel Maverick.
Either way, they would be getting a good player. Marcus, who's the best player available that could help out Dallas the most?
I think Denzel Maverick is going to be my top player for them, just as Trillo had said. But they could also go the direction of getting Garen Malone as well. I mean, you know, I kind of say that the last couple picks, but there are just these couple people who would be great for any team that would pick them.
Well, one of these days, Garen Malone will be the pick, and you will be right. So just keep saying it every time, and you're bound to be right eventually. So that's how Andy gets all these ones correct. He just, you know, keeps on saying names, and, you know, every once in a while he's right and makes it sound like he's Nostradamus. But hey, Andy, you're still here. Sorry.
Unfortunately.
I don't even know what that means. But so
Whoa.
Dallas on the clock. Oh, yeah, wait,
Oh,
you just
Cam came back for 2 seconds.
just to scold you.
Well, I'm glad he's paying attention.
Well, I wasn't even sure. I was about to test him a little bit. But under 3 minutes to go here for Dallas. Where do you think they're going to go? I mean, as an owner, what are their needs that you think they should go with?
Well, and I'll say from my ownership position, they just lost a great cornerback in Dante West, who came over to Vancouver in the offseason. Had a lot of career numbers at that cornerback position. I think they got to try and replace that in some way, shape, or form on the cornerback end. You got to shore up your secondary before you start adding guys to the defensive line, in my opinion, unless they're going Denzel Maverick, because I think he is kind of an outlier at this point where with his value, a lot of teams might reconsider who they might have gone to pick in order to put him on their team. So I think it's either Denzel Maverick or, in my opinion, it's either Jam Pearson or Jacob Gustafson at this point.
Yeah, and I guessed, since I decided to get involved in the guessing game, I guessed Denzel Maverick last time. I'm going to go with him again. They need a defensive tackle. He wanted to play defensive tackle. Number 9th on the big board. The pick is in. Let's find out from Cameron Irvine who they have selected.
How's our viewership looking, Mike?
We are at 99. It's not triple digits, which is really bothering me. So if somebody could get one more person to join.
We're holding pretty good. That from the bottom of my heart, before I forget, as we continue to go. Oh, dude, I love the hat, Marcus. What a sweet hat.
To put it on doesn't fit on my
I need to get an
headphones.
SFL hat to hide this ridiculous hair. Or I can get a haircut.
Well, stop. My hair looks fine. Oh, your hair. Oh.
It's a little grainy, but anyway. With the 17th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the Dallas Lobos select Denzel Maverick, defensive tackle. Welcome to the SFL.
See, I knew my strategy would pay off. If I just kept on guessing Denzel, he'd eventually get picked. And poof, it worked on the second try. Top 10 on the big board, and he fell quite a bit. But going to the Dallas Lobos, and it's going to be able to help them out. Andy, what do you think of this pick?
Great pick for Dallas. A real value pick for him to fall all the way to 17. Gives me a lot of memories last season about getting Cody Hill as early as I did, and then getting Mark Lopez to fall all the way to 23. Great job by Dallas to stick with their guy and find the guy who's Max Silver all the way down at pick 17. I mean, geez, we had a guy who went, Max Copper minus a couple earlier, and there's no knock on him there. It's just saying there's a lot of value still left on these boards. 4 picks left, and man, I have 5 or 6 guys that I think deserve to be selected in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the value that they just picked up, and his actual value was a Max Silver -1, but because of the rookie showcase playing defensive tackle in that game, got a little bit of a boost and will be a Max Silver defensive tackle for the Lobos. So that's a heck of a steal. And Shan, can you tell us about his production? Sometimes it can be boom or bust for the defensive lineman. How did he do? How did Denzel Maverick perform in the rookie showcase?
Well, I guess, like all of y'all are kind of surprised that he dropped this far, because if you look at the stats from this game, he had 6 solo tackles, 1 sack, and 3 tackles for loss.
Ooh.
So this guy was getting in the backfield all the time. So how he dropped this far down, I don't know, but he is going to be a monster for Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of these other GMs might have, you know, I don't know, skipped past the top 10 because their pick was past 10th, so they went down farther looking for their guy. I don't know, but I think this is a heck of a steal. This is going to be a name to watch this upcoming season to see how he performs. So Oklahoma City back on the clock, 3 minutes 42 seconds to go. They selected wide receiver Rich Pratchard with their first pick, and when we start talking about the team needs again, it's once again defense, defense, defense. So you know, I guess the way that this is unfolding, top half of the draft mainly offensive, except for Justin Jones, corner for the Sharks. Now we are looking at quite a run on defense, and Oklahoma City back on the clock. Michael Chirillo, what are their primary needs? We have defensive line and secondary. Which area of the defense do you think they might go with, or do you think they're going to surprise people?
I think I'm going to throw out a name that Andy's mentioned a couple times, and I am probably going to butcher this. Jacob Gustafson.
Hang on. So apparently our commissioner has forgotten to mute himself. So
yeah, and I'll step in here. I think there's a lot of value still left on the board. I think if you're Oklahoma City, you have to go defensive back here with the way that you've kind of built up this team. You know, with Rich Pratchard, you know, going wide receiver earlier, you've put yourself in a situation where you need a defensive back. And I think this kind of goes to the situation where you look at when you look at the way that San Francisco has kind of positioned themselves with taking the cornerback earlier in their draft. They've put themselves in a really good position coming up here at 20 to get an offensive player or some other position where they don't have to select a cornerback or a defensive back here. Whereas Oklahoma City went with the wide receiver earlier in the draft, and now they're trying to piece together a defensive back somewhere, you know, whether it's Jam Pearson or Jacob Gustafson. They're going to have to take someone here to patch up that secondary. And really, they kind of struggled to, you know, do that with the way that the value has fallen. Because, you know, when you look at the board, Dags, there's not a lot of value left on the defensive backs positions. It wasn't a defensive back heavy draft coming in, and now it's even lighter considering the way that they've made their way through the pile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that might just be the nature of the beast, right? I mean, everybody wants to, you know, get stats, right? Nobody wants to just be on a linebacker that's just going to get a few tackles and, you know, maybe not a lot else. That, you know, people like to score points and, you know, get their name in the bright lights and hear it shouted out by Cam on, you know, on a Monday night primetime game or Friday night lights. You know, but obviously the defense can make big plays. You look at some of the linebackers like Aquana Shine, you know, making huge plays. Matthew Slyn Shady for the London Knights. 1,200 bits coming in from Sketch BL. Man, we are all over the place right now. 40 seconds to go for Oklahoma City for them to make their selection. And we'll see where they end up going. There's still a lot of different ways that they can go, and, you know, maybe they will go back to the offense because there are still a lot of offensive positions available. And,
yeah, I mean, you could really spread your receiving core out if you added Garen Malone III. You know, with him and Pratchard, I mean, my goodness, talk to me about a lot of weapons for Deacon Nickens.
Yeah, for sure. And clock is about to expire, but Marcus, you're still waiting patiently. Who is the best player available in your...
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to still say it's Garen Malone. He was one of the people that I had tagged them going around the first time, and I'm very surprised that he made it all the way back around here. And I would kind of be surprised if they didn't take the opportunity to get him.
All right, and just taking a look still at the big board. So where was Garen Malone? Garen Malone was 13th. So here we are down at 18. So yeah, he has fallen a little bit, but not too terribly much. You know, there's still quite a bit of value here left in this draft with only 3 picks to go after this one. It's kind of flown right by, nothing at all like the season 11 draft. So, and that is a good thing. for anybody that was watching the season 11 draft and actually stuck it out for all 4 hours, you would have seen Cam actually fall asleep at the podium at one point. So Oklahoma City's pick is in, and a lively and wide awake Cameron Irvine is back to announce the pick.
All right, first of all, three things. Number one, I just realized now that's going to be a meme, so that sucks.
I have a fourth
number
thing.
Sure, what?
Well, no, it's got to go after all your things. Otherwise, I don't get the last one.
Ah,
It's not
God.
worth it.
All right. Second thing is we did 2 rounds of this last year. Were we insane?
Yeah.
Give me a
yeah,
break.
I think so.
And then
I'm banking on 3 rounds next year.
On 3 different days. That's fine.
And then the third thing is that with the 18th pick in the SFL Season 12 rookie draft, the Oklahoma City Renegades select cornerback Jam Pearson. Welcome to the SFL.
Congratulations, Jam Pearson. And that is the newest member, I should say, of the Oklahoma City Renegades. Andy, what do you think of the pick?
Well, I'm frustrated because that was going to be my fourth thing. Was I thought they were going to take Jam Pearson, so that'll be another correct answer for me there. No,
that's too late.
I asked prior to the pick, so I think that counts. We'll let the chat decide. They can all go crazy, letting me know that I'm correct here. No, I don't believe that's accurate. Great pick by Oklahoma City, taking a defensive back. Like I said, we're getting real thin here. I'm interested, I would love to talk to someone from Oklahoma City as to why they went Pearson at Max Silver -5 over Gustafson with Max Silver -4. He was willing to play cornerback. But it does leave this very interesting world now where we have Jacob Gustafson, who's willing to play receiver, as well as Garen Malone, who's willing to play receiver. Both can be Max Silver, Gustafson at -4 and Malone at -2. Sorry. Lines are hard for me. There's 2 great receivers still on the board. There's 3 picks left. This, isn't a great situation. If you're one of those 2 guys, you're kind of sweating in your britches here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with only 3 picks left, we have the Denver Night Wings on the clock. We'll see where they decide they would like to go. But more on Jam Pearson from Shan Varner. Shan, in the rookie showcase, how did Jam Pearson do?
Well, Dags, he only had 3 tackles in this game. Just not a lot of, passes thrown his way or whatever, but he only had 3 tackles in this game, so not a lot showing in this game, but
and that could be the way that it is for corners sometimes, right? I mean, some of the best corners in the league might have no stats, and why would that be? Because they're shutting down their receiver, right? So,
right,
if they're
either shutting down the receiver, batting the ball down, interception. So a lot of things play a part in the variables of a defense. So
can I suggest a nickname for Mr. Pearson?
No. Oh,
why not?
That's not fair. Go ahead. I don't know. I just felt like being mean to you. Carry on.
I think his nickname should be Peanut Butter Hand.
And why is that?
Peanut Butter and Jam Pearson, baby.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Wow.
Is it too late to quit?
No, you can go. Wow, Andy. Yeah, definitely stick to that whole owner of a team and director of social media thing.
And commentator, media guide maker. Yeah, the list never ends. I'm still working.
Yeah, Cam went back to sleep on that one. So, hey, at least we can make another meme out of that. So, Denver Night Wings on the clock. 3 minutes and 39 seconds to. Okay, there we go. The clock's moving again. About 3.5 to go here for the Night Wings. Their first pick, a brilliant selection of a tight end. Hayapo Kinloa. Yes, I think I got it with a stutter. But whatever. Tight end. That's the best thing that you can have. So they don't need another tight end, although that would be epic. But Michael, where do you see the Night Wings going here? Defensive end, wide receiver, linebacker? What do you think?
Well, they already have 2 wide receivers and a tight end. So I think along with a quarterback and a running back, their offensive side of the ball is pretty much set. Looks like Denver might be going for a defensive selection here to continue the theme of the second half of this draft. They've put on the inside linebacker, outside linebacker, as well as defensive end. And there's not any of those players left on the board.
False.
as Andy just contradicts.
Well, yeah, that's just what he does.
Well, Kyle Kruger's sitting there, secondary linebacker, Max Braz -1.
I did say not many. I did not say 0.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I thought you said not. I thought you said not any. I thought you said not any.
You know, Cam asked me to host, not moderate. You know, we're almost done. If the two of you could just get along for another about 10 minutes.
I have a lot of passion.
Passion is what you call it?
Pair of boxing gloves.
All right,
well, this is going well. So, Marcus, who's
Yes.
the best player available in your opinion? And Andy, I don't care what you think of Marcus's opinion.
All right. Well, for Denver, let's take a look. I think Denver, if they're going for the defense, I think they take Everett Garrison. Interested in playing linebacker, strong safety. Maybe at this point they can convince him to move to the line. I don't know if Garen Malone would.
Sorry to bust your bubble there.
It might be a little hard to take him since Houston already did.
Sorry, my bad. I missed him on my sheet. Garen Malone is definitely an option. Gustafson is still available. He was a wide receiver in the showcase. You know, those two are probably my top picks.
All right, fantastic. And about a minute to go here. The pick is in. So, Cameron Irvine, back on your screen to announce the pick.
Having fun. Hopefully people aren't too sick of me. They'll start calling me Andy. With the 19th pick. 19th pick in the SFL Season 12 rookie draft, the Denver Nightwings select Kramer Jackman, kicker. Kick it! Welcome
Nice.
to the SFL.
A kicker is the pick. So apparently my question is finally answered. Top 20 is where you want to pick your kicker. It's still okay. So somewhere right at the end of the top 20. I've been wondering. And, you know, Cole Varner was a humongous difference maker for us in Mexico City. Really, he was the only reason that we won many games. You know, he carried the team on his foot. And Andy, the Denver Nightwings now have a kicker of their own in Kramer Jackman. What do you think of this pick?
I love the name, first of all, Kramer. For any of you Seinfeld fans, I want to see all of the Kramer gifs anytime he lines up to boot anything. For those of you who aren't Seinfeld fans, you can get out. I'm just kidding. Please.
I'm trying to retain
stay.
viewers. We're down to 93. I wanted triple digits. Don't ask them to leave.
No, if you're not a Seinfeld fan, get your friends who are Seinfeld fans in here to sign up for the league. But no, great pick for, you know, Jeremy and the team. If you want a kicker, you know, you got to go get your guy. Jackman is one of 2 people willing to play kicker on this board, so glad that he found his spot in the league. But now, Dags, I want to point, 2 teams left, 2 star receivers left. Garen Malone, Max Silver -1.5, and Jacob Gustafson, Max Silver -4. San Francisco doesn't have a wide receiver listed as a need. Is one of these guys about to go undrafted?
I guess it could happen. It seemed insanely unlikely going into it. You know, you look at Garen Malone, 13th on the final big board, and here we are rounding out the top 20. But getting back to Kramer Jackman, Chan, did he have any shots there in the rookie showcase?
Yeah, he got 2 field goals. One was from about 48 yards, so that was a pretty good, significant kick for a kicker.
Yeah, I mean that's the stat that matters, right? Especially the long kicks. You know, you expect any kicker to be able to make it with under 30 yards or so, but you know, over 40 is where kickers really make the difference for a team. You know, that's the difference between, all right, do we punt here, or are we going to be able to actually get some points on the board out of this drive? So, with that, we do want to get back to the San Francisco Sharks. You know, Andy already mentioned the fact that we have a couple of high-powered receivers still there, but Michael, the team needs are all defense, and they already went defense. In fact, they were the first team to go defense, plucking Justin Jones off the board early, but still some help at all 3 different areas of the defense. You know, defensive line, your linebackers, your secondary. But if you're, put yourself in the role of a GM, you see that you need defense, but, best player available, we see some receivers. What do you do?
Well, as you said, the Sharks started the picks on defense, and I think they're going to be the final defensive pick again. I think they're going to take Gustafson off the board at cornerback, and while having 2 rookie corners is risky, I think that San Francisco needs to try something this year to try and make a playoff run, and doing something like that may be what eventually works out for the Sharks. So, and Gustafson is the best secondary player left on the board, and I think Shan actually wants to chime in here as well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that Jukin Rukin, he had two tackles, 1 sack, a bat down, and a tackle for loss. So that's another guy that's coming into on this defensive line that can make plays for your defense.
Yeah, so there's players on both sides of the ball. You have good people on offense, good people on defense. Like Andy said, 2-3 picks ago, there's 6-7 players available that he would like to see drafted on every team, and unfortunately, there's just not enough teams left to draft. And I guess for the league, it's a good problem to have. Too many qualified players, but for the players, not so much. And that's why it's always insanely important to get those check-ins done and be as active as you can and make a name for yourself. Marcus, you mentioned it earlier. You talked to all 21 teams. You wanted to make sure everybody knew who Marcus Dunhill was and what he was all about. And for the Sharks now, though, they have quite a decision to make, and there's all sorts of players that are still available for them. Who do you think's the best one? Who do you think they might pick?
I think Gustafsson is a really good pick for them. They could go Jukin Rukin as well. I mean, there's quite a few people left. Garen Malone is still on the board. I know he's a good option as well. I mean, I really wouldn't fault them for picking any of them. Yeah,
agreed. And a good point was made earlier too. Trillo, you made this point where 2 rookie corners, I should say. It could be a bit of a roll of the dice. It could be a gamble, but it also might be the most brilliant decision that they made. After 2 seasons in the league so far, and both of them, a bit more disappointing than they were hoping for. They want to try something maybe outside of the normal thinking, and get something going here that could potentially spark their defense to make a change on how the outcomes of these games have been working out for them. So clock has hit 0. Pick should be coming in momentarily, and we will find out who they have selected. Andrew Rastelli in the chat, director of player personnel, letting us know that the pick is in. They have indeed made the selection before time has run out. So, Andy, what's the fate of the players that end up not getting selected?
Yeah, undrafted free agency is going to be big this season because, there's 2 picks left, and there's a lot of guys on this board, as well as guys who aren't on the board who, deserve a spot, whether it's Gustafsson or Malone or Kyle Kruger. I mean, is a guy who, it's really a product of simply not chatting enough. 101 is the chat value, but he's -1 max bronze at linebacker. That's a good linebacker in this league. This is the first year that I've ever carried a linebacker who wasn't a bronze. So for him, he's in a good spot. Pharaoh Reigns is another name. As well as someone who's been blowing up my direct messages today is Richie Gonzalez. And that guy, I don't see him on my sheet. I don't know if he missed the draft deadline or what it was. But that's a guy who's going to make an impact for a franchise in Season 12. I guarantee it. So for undrafted free agency, there's a lot of names out here. And if you're still looking for positions that you couldn't draft, you're licking your chops.
And with that, the pick is in. We'll turn it over to Cam, second to last pick. Who is it going to be?
With the 20th pick in the SFL's Season 12 rookie draft, the San Francisco Sharks select Jacob Gustafson, strong safety. Welcome to the SFL. 1 pick left. You're on the clock, Tulsa.
So Jacob Gustafson is the pick. They did go secondary. Michael, you basically pegged that one on the head. They wanted to make a change. Thought you might go 2 corners, but they're going corner and safety. What do you think of the selection?
Well, I was corrected in the chat by some members of the San Francisco Sharks. They actually have 2 corners already. One being Justin Jones, who they just drafted tonight. The other one, if I can scroll back up here, let's see who it is. Camden Hoffman, who is not a rookie, is a very talented cornerback there. So unless they wanted to do some sort of nickel setup with 3 corners, they weren't going to take another corner. But I think Gustafson is an all-around good enough player that he can adjust from being a corner to a safety without that much difficulty. I think it's a great pick.
And Shan, Jacob Gustafson in the rookie showcase, what kind of stats did we see?
He was 7 of 8, and he only had 32 yards. Just not, he was the top receiver, so of course he's going to get guarded by the best corner. So that left Pratchard to, get the lump sum of that the tote for that game. But I'm not saying he's not a good safety. He got picked up as a safety, so he has 1 game under his belt, and we'll have to see what he's going to do in the future.
So with that, the Tulsa Desperados are now on the clock. This is our final pick in the Season 12 draft, and I actually still feel alive. So that's fantastic news.
Well, I've been dead inside the whole time. So
well, we know. I mean, it's shown from all of. Just ask the chat. I think literally every person that's been watching tonight has heckled you in some way, shape, or form.
I would be offended if everyone didn't in some way, shape, or form. If someone did not get a pot shot in, now's your chance. 353 on the board. So let me have it in the chat. But while you're doing that, I'm going to give you some good breakdown. Tulsa made history earlier when they went and got Ashley Jackson, the first female quarterback in the SFL. It's time to equip Ashley Jackson with a weapon. Need wide receiver / tight end. It couldn't have come better than Garen Malone III. Max Silver minus 1.5. Tulsa could not have lucked into a better selection. They are sitting in the perfect position to collect one of the better wide receivers in this draft. Dion, great work. It was probably a little sweaty coming down this final stretch, especially I'm sure with Gustafson, coming along with Malone falling this far, you felt a little bit safer. But you've walked into a good situation. But like I said, undrafted free agency, there's a lot of guys who are still available.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree more though with your sentiment that we just got Ashley Jackson in the league now, quarterback for the Tulsa Desperados, and what do you need to do with your rookie quarterback? Surround them by talent. And Marcus, you've been mentioning the best players available all night, but is there literally anybody else you could say that would be the best player available for this exact situation? Not even just the fact that I believe it's still the highest player left on the big board that has not been selected, but is there really anybody else other than Garen Malone that this pick could be?
It can't be. Garen Malone is normally Max Silver -2, but he happens to be at wide receiver Max Silver -1.5, like Andy had said. Perfect time to get that wide receiver weapon, and you get that extra half-point value. I can't imagine that they would pick anybody else.
Wouldn't think so, but Michael Cirillo, the team needs. They still have linebacker and kicker listed as well, and kicker might be one that you can fill a little bit more easily as an undrafted free agent than some other positions. But is there any linebackers out there that you think that they might select that could potentially leapfrog Garen Malone here?
I don't think so. I think Garen Malone, as Marcus said, is the best player left in the draft. If you had asked me before the draft started who I thought the Mr. Irrelevant pick was going to be, I would have not told you Garen Malone. That is for certain. So to see him fall this far is a big shock.
Yeah, if it is Garen Malone, or really, some of the players that are still left available, I don't know if any of them would would even be worthy of being, labeled as Mr. Irrelevant. But, last pick in the draft, so that's the tag that it gets.
And if I'm Deion Hawkins right now, I'm in the DMs of both Garen Malone and Kyle Kruger. And I'm saying to Kyle Kruger, the linebacker, hey, we got a spot for you too. And unfortunately, we don't have another pick here at the end. We don't have a 22nd pick to pick you both. But if I'm Deion, I'm saying to Kyle Kruger, listen, I want you and Malone, and I have to pick one of you. And so what it really comes down to is, do you want more value in the receiver or the linebacker? To me, as an owner, in my build, it would be the receiver getting the value, not the linebacker. I think that's the best situation for Ashley Jackson as a new quarterback, is to have value in those receivers. Let Kruger and the defense deal with, being a little bit low. But I would try and get both of these guys with the way that this draft has played out.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what he's going to try to do. But, if you only can have one sure thing, and that's going to be your, the pick that you make, that's your guarantee. That's who you're definitely going to get. Nobody can snipe that away from you. I agree. You got to go with Garen Malone and give your shiny new quarterback a shiny new target to throw to. So you could always go tight end, though. I mean, I'm just saying, it's, I hear it's a good position to have, So, yeah. The clock has hit 0.
Someone in the chat called me Tony Romo. That's offensive.
Yeah, you can't even throw that good.
I couldn't even date half the girls that he did, so I guess that's a compliment. Steve said he loves me, so I don't know who has his computer, but
I was gonna say, if you think that's the most offensive thing people have said about you in the chat, you're not paying attention to the chat. Yeah.
The what?
Just saying.
What's going on?
You said you see where Steven says he loves you. Just look at 2 comments down from that. Just saying this. That was not the most offensive thing.
That's a Denver Nightwing saying that. We don't really acknowledge them, considering that we beat them the last time we were on the field with them, so that's fine.
Shade continuing to be thrown even this long into the draft. So the pick should be in here momentarily. We will get Cameron Irvine back out to make the one final call.
You don't want to drag this out? I figure if we just keep talking... if we just keep talking, I don't think he'll come back out in any way, shape, or form. In reality, the longer we talk, the less time he has on the screen. So why don't we just keep it going? And what do we got? Another couple hours before we reach last year's time?
Yeah, we still have another couple hours to go. So, but hey, Cam's already back. The pick is in. Let's go for it and see who this final pick is.
I'm so delirious. We've another spoiler alert. I gave 2 of them tonight. There was some discussion back in the war rooms. The 21st pick, the final pick of the SFL rookie draft for season 12, is Garen Malone III, tight end.
See, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You pick Garen Malone, but not as a receiver. You make the man a tight end. That's how you're going to win games. I love it. That's the best pick of the night. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, great pick. Like we were saying, that's where the value is. And at this point in the draft, you have to take the guy with the value. You don't really have an opportunity to take anyone who's higher value. This is your guy. This is your guy. I'm amazed he fell to 21. If you're Tulsa, you've played this perfectly. This is a great pick. But like I said, there are still guys out there as undrafted free agents, and this is where the war starts for a lot of these owners. It doesn't start when their pick is made or when they're on the clock. It starts now that we've made pick 21, and we're trying to get these undrafted free agents. There are still spots to be filled, and for these guys like Jokin Rokin, Kyle Kruger, Richie Gonzalez, Jaquarius Keyshawn Johnson III.
Don't forget Devonta too either. He's
Pharaoh Reigns. There's a lot of guys out here that still deserve spots. And for these owners, it's really time to get to work. Drew Reilly is another good. He wants to be a kicker. There are teams that need kickers, man. So whether you're in the chat, whether you're an owner and you're about to get to work it's going to be a long night for the front office staff as they try and keep an eye on things. But if you are a player and you did not get drafted, do not get discouraged. Because there is still plenty of opportunity for you here.
Yeah, for sure. And Shan, You know, I'm looking at all these picks that have been made, and I only see 2 wide receivers, but I see 3 tight ends. Is this a changing of the guard here? Are we going to start seeing the tight end position becoming even more relevant than ever? You think?
Season with a couple different tight ends, I think coaches seen some things that they could do with the tight end, and it's just a trend, man. It's just something that's coming about, and I'm liking it.
So, Marcus, you've been giving us our best players available this whole draft, and now that the draft is done, there's no more picks to go. Out of everybody that's left, who do you think's the biggest snub? Like, who is the one that definitely should have been one of these 21 picks, but he's still out there, and it's probably having his DM being lit up by every team that still has a position open, and they can't believe that he's still there. Who's getting the most attention right now, you think?
I mean, Farrell Rains had a great showing in the showcase. There's quite a few people left. I don't know if I could pick any one person, but Jaquarius Keyshawn Johnson III, he's definitely one that I would look into as well. I mean, there's a lot of good people left that just happen to get here a little bit too late in the process to get that higher draft value.
And Michael, what are your final thoughts on the draft? Is this about how you thought it would go? Is it a complete and total shock for you? What do you think?
Well, a lot of these picks were definitely complete and total shocks. Zach Sadlin at running back, nobody expected that. Ashley Jackson at QB, nobody really expected that. And for a lot of players, like I'm looking at Thomas Drummond Jr., Randy Mercury, Stephen Hacker, and Garrett Malone fell a lot farther than a lot of us predicted they would. So it looks like owners, a lot of them really had a clear vision coming into this draft of what they wanted to do and where their builds are going to take them in this season. And if they wanted to do something a little off the wall and maybe throw the rest of the teams off, they accomplished it tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely didn't think that there was going to be 3 tight ends taken. It just warms my heart. So with that, Cam, I'm going to turn it back over to you to wrap things up. This is your league and your show. Why don't you finish things off for us here?
I want to point out, Cam looked like he Cam looked like he had just. That was the look when you eat like a whole full of Chick-fil-A, and
he looked like he died. Just say it.
Realize what you've just done, and you're just like, oh my God, what happened?
Guys, I have probably created now, I don't know, over 100 graphical elements in 5 hours. I mean, it was a production, but what a fantastic one, man. And all I have to say to all those players out there is, if you're in any sort of panic for whatever reason, it's a long season. It's still a long off season. Every day's a new day, and everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right, and this is going to be a wonderful season. Wherever you ended up, we think it's going to be our most competitive season ever, and I can't thank everybody enough for tuning into the draft. And thank you so much to our outstanding panel. I was listening to them all night while I worked, and I mean, absolutely fantastic performance all the way around. So really appreciate that. I have one thing to ask from the SFL community. Please send me your feedback in a DM on your draft experience. If you were a player that got picked, didn't get picked tonight, how was it? What was it like? And then if you're just a viewer, whatever your situation is in the SFL, I want to know what this draft was like for you so that we can continue to further improve our product. So just wanted to let everybody know that you are free to wander into my DMs and share your thoughts with me, because there's going to be a lot of reaction on this throughout the night all across the league. So thank you. And Mike, you are hosting, so I'm going to let you say good night.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. And couldn't ask for better participation in the chat. We had triple-digit viewers for a lot of the broadcast. To my panel, Marcus, thank you very much. Michael and Shan, all of your comments were great. Andy, I think I didn't have a choice. You had to be here, but hey, thanks anyway. So, kidding, man, you're the best. Appreciate you all joining, and making these past couple hours great, and we will continue to do a single round per night, because this worked out a whole lot better. I don't feel like quitting this time, so that's fantastic. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us. That is all. That wraps up the season 12 rookie draft. We will be getting underway in just a few weeks. The preseason starts at the end of the month, and we will get season 12 kicked off in January. With that, thank you very much, and everybody have a great night.
Thank you, guys.